Yesterday we did an intro to spreadsheets. Today we're going to be talking about money growth. If you look at this data sheet here, this is just another example of a spreadsheet. It's an example of all of the cases of COVID-19 that have happened. So it's going by country, just showing you all of the data. As you can see, it can be a bit overwhelming to see all of this data at once. And we're also going to be trying to talk about something a little happier today. Happiness is affected by a variety of factors. That's what we're talking about today, is happiness and what makes us happy. Unfortunately, there's often a trade-off involved in our happiness when we're trying to figure out how to be happy. For example, we might want to get a new phone that makes us super happy, but at the same time, we're spending $1,000 to get that new phone. So although we're happy to have the new phone, there's a trade-off involved with it. And we're always weighing these costs, trying to figure out what's the right thing to do. Should we buy the thing? Should we not buy the thing? Should we hang out with our friends? Should we study for our tests? These are all things that we're trying to decide in real time. In the chat, what are some trade-offs that you've had to make recently? What choices have you had to make? Let's take, for example, this situation where you go to a store and buy a bag of chips. You go to a store and buy a bag of chips and a drink, or you save your money and just drink water from home. If you just get the chips, you're going to be spending, about $1.50, and you're going to save $1. So you might be happy that you're getting the chips, and a little happy that you're saving $1, but you're a little bit sad that you didn't get that extra drink to go along with it. Person B is very happy that they got the chips and a drink, but they're sad because now they've spent all their money, whereas person C spends no money and saves it all. And so they're a little sad because they don't get their drinks, and they also don't get food. So they're just bringing something from home. It's not as exciting, but they're saving their money. This is a trade-off. You're choosing one thing to be happy about one thing while being a little sad about another thing. This is what's known as opportunity cost. It's a benefit you miss out on when choosing one alternative over another. For example, going to college means you can't make money while you're in college. Although you might make more money later, as of right now, you're making less, and that's the cost of going to college. Some other examples might include, buying a sports car versus a practical car, buying a house versus renting, spending time with friends versus studying. All of these things might make us happy or sad, depending on which one we choose. Let's look at an example of how spreadsheets itself can help us. Let's consider this first person who bought this $395 cardigan from Anthropologie, and she loves it. It's bringing her a lot of happiness. Whereas this other person spent $40 in Old Navy. They're kind of happy with their cardigan, not super happy. This first person, I'm just making up these happiness points. They're totally arbitrary. Let's say that says it's giving her 50 happiness points, whereas the other person is saying it's only giving me 5 happiness points. This is where spreadsheets can come in and try to help us decide whether we should buy the more expensive one or the less expensive one. In this case, we have Anthropologie and Old Navy, 50 and 5 versus that. So we're much happier when we buy the Anthropologie, but the price is much heavier on Anthropologie. So if we do a happiness to price ratio and do happiness divided by price, the Anthropologie comes out to be about 12.66% when we divide 50 by 395. Or when we divide 5 by 40, it's also about 12.5%. So in this case, it's about even either way, considering either one. Since they're about the same happiness ratio, you might want to spend less money and be happy that you spent less money, but also you might not be as happy in the short term. Here we have an example of just opportunity cost in general. As you can see, not going to college, you make more money over 5 years. And even at 10 years, you make about the same amount of money. So over 10 years, going to college doesn't really pay off. It only pays off after the 40-year mark when that higher salary leads to higher retirement savings. So in this sense, we can also use spreadsheets to help us look at the long-term goals of what we want to accomplish in our lives. Let's try an example here. Let's say we were going to make a meal at home or buy at a bodega. It costs $2.50 to make a meal at home, $7 to go to a bodega. The amount we're saving obviously is $4.50, whereas we're losing $4.50 if we go to a bodega, basically. Now, over time, $4.50 might not seem like that much money each day, but over 5 years, that comes out to $8,000. And over 10 years, that comes out to $16,000. And over 20 years, it comes out to $32,000. So even though it might not seem like $4 one day is a lot of money, that adds up over 20 years. And you could be saving a lot more money if you're not going out to eat all the time. And over 40 years as well, you can see $65,000 saved. And here's our opportunity costs. Basically, you're adding up the investment plus the amount of money that you could have made, and that's your opportunity cost. That's the amount you're losing by going to the bodega every day. So what you're going to do is go to Mathematical Thinking for the Google class to do the assignment today. Click on the spreadsheet activity, and then go ahead and click on the Google Sheets activity so that you can do this activity today. If you end up, you're going to be going to the Tuesday tab to do the assignment today, and you're going to just fill out these questions below and then do the exit ticket.